So be confident in yourself. This confidence is very important during your preparation and during the exam time. You know what to do, you know how much time you will take for everything, you know your weak areas, you know your strong areas, and now you know how to prepare entirely.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chamomile Tea Toppers, an initiative by Unacademy. My name is Pranav and I'm an educator of biology on Unacademy. And today, again I'm here with an amazing story for all of you. This year's NEET All India Rank 3 with a score of 715 out of 720. I have Hrishikesh with me. So most welcome Hrishikesh to Chamomile Tea Toppers.
Thank you.
So before we start with anything, tell me how is this feeling on such a marvelous achievement?
It's a great feeling, sir, and more than anything, it's a relief that this journey of 2 years has come to an end, and such a wonderful end. And besides all our preparation and our hard work, there is some role of luck also during the examination. So I'm really glad and I feel fortunate to have had that luck.
That's really great. So before we get into all the subject details and all of that, tell me this at first, ki why only medicine as a career, why not anything else? So was this something that your parents told you or you were inspired from something? What is the core reason behind choosing this particular field?
So sir, this idea entered my head when I was around 9 or 10 years old, that I wanted to become a doctor. It was not my parents, sir, both of them were software engineers.
Okay.
But they did tell me to pursue whatever I wanted to. They didn't force me, they didn't tell me that you had to become only this. They just said do what you want and do what you love. So I felt that this medical profession was a very noble profession. I could help my society and I could help my family. I could make a positive influence on both of them. And some of my other family members are doctors. I spoke to them and I felt inspired. And that's how this idea entered my head that I wanted to become a doctor. I have maintained the same goal ever since and I have worked in that direction.
Okay, so since like you were 9 or 10 years old, since that particular time. Okay, so now you have finally achieved this. So now let's hear your journey from you. We'll start with subject wise, all the subject details, and please be very elaborate. We'll start with biology. So how much did you secure in biology this time?
This time, the one mistake I made was in biology, sir. So I secured a 355 out of 360.
That was not actually a mistake, if I would say, and it was supposed to be a bonus. Otherwise, you would have scored 720. Okay, so in biology, just tell me in detail, how did you approach this subject regarding the books you followed, regarding what the practice material you used?
So biology, more than other subjects, is a very detail-oriented subject. That there are so many things which one should keep in memory, are not necessarily by-hearting, but still it's such a vast ocean of knowledge, and there is practically no limit to what one can do. But this NEET exam is prepared over a period of 2 years. And there are many chapters in biology. There are more chapters in biology than physics and chemistry. So it is very important to be clear what is required and what is not required. And especially in biology, NCERT is the base. And almost all the questions come from NCERT every year. This year, I think all the questions. There was not even a single question. There was not a single question out of NCERT. So I would say one should be thorough with NCERT before doing anything else. Having said that, it's not that it's just about skimming through NCERT. One should be perfect with every line. And one should analyze every perspective in which that line can be interpreted, because it used to happen to me that when I read that line, it seemed obvious, it seemed correct, I didn't pay much attention to it. But when it came in the exam and the options were also framed in such a way that we would get confused, and I used to end up making mistakes in them. And I felt I should have paid more attention to that line. So it's not just about reading, it's about analyzing in every perspective, thinking where one can get confused with respect to that line. And besides the lines, all the diagrams are important, labelings in the diagram, captions below the diagrams, because the questions have been asked in the past regarding this. And it is very important to analyze the mistakes, because I learned how to read NCERT through mistakes only.
Okay, so yeah, so as far as NCERT biology is concerned, let me split up biology into two parts. One is that part that is heavily conceptual, plus certain facts and figures, like physiology is there, genetics is there. And one is that part in which there are just facts, a lot of facts, like morphology is there, animal kingdom is there. So you have to memorize no matter what. So what was your approach to these two different portions, regarding conceptual portion and regarding this memorizing portion? Because students actually struggle a lot with memorizing the examples with families are there in morphology, so memorizing is really a tough job. So what was your approach towards the memorizing part? Tell me that at first.
Memorizing part, I just read the textbook again and again, sir. There was no other way. And I believe that it is not just about ratta, what is called by hearting ratta. It is not about that. That stays in memory for a very short period of time. So I would say it is about repeated reading. And when I read them over and over again, I felt that the lines just used to come to my mind without any effort.
Oh.
When it is about by hearting, we struggle to extract that line from our memory, and that takes time. And sometimes we forget it beyond a period of say 1 week.
Sometimes things get mixed and merged.
Yes, sir.
And
Exactly.
some random examples come up for some different things.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So instead of just plainly by hearting, just read them over and over again. And there is of course some conceptual part in every by hearting. So repeated reading, what happens through that is the lines just flash before your eyes. You don't have to spend any time or make any effort to recollect those lines. So this is how I tackled the memory part.
Okay.
As for conceptual part, I tried to extract maximum from the class. So I used to learn all these important concepts, highlights in the class itself, and I used to remember them for long. I didn't have any problem in remembering this. So after I came home, when I used to do self-study, my main focus was on this memory part, the points which I could not easily remember. Maybe they were not taught in class, or maybe there are the points which we can't keep in our memory for too long unless we read them again and again. So that's what I did, reading again and again.
Okay, that's really great. And regarding the conceptual part, it's like once you know the concept, it's done. But regarding this repeated reading, because I specifically asked this because people keep searching for secrets ki how to memorize. And if you look at the general search result or search history of a NEET aspirant, he or she will be searching for ki how to memorize the examples of plant kingdom on this and that. So repeated reading is the only solution. That is what you would recommend, right?
Yes, sir. Mainly repeated reading and also maybe some mnemonics which one can make. I used to make mnemonics.
You made them yourself or you were following some other mnemonics?
Some I used to make myself, sir. And
any example you would love to give? We would love to hear.
One was for macronutrients, sir. Macronutrients and micronutrients.
CHONPK, yeah, that one.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
So what you made?
This was given to me by my teacher actually.
Okay.
Chopkins ka Maggie.
Okay, Chopkins ka Maggie.
CHOPKNS, CA for car, and MG Maggie.
Okay. So yeah, that way also, I mean, people can memorize these things.
Sir.
Okay.
Like if there are too many examples, or like macronutrients 9, micronutrients 8, so it is very difficult to remember them without mnemonics. If there are too many examples, mnemonics can be used.
Okay. Achha, one more thing regarding biology, with regard to the note making part. So many students, what they do is that they write directly in the NCERT, they highlight the lines and they completely color the NCERT. They write it there itself. And certain students make short notes, some people make very long notes. So what was your note making strategy as far as biology part is concerned?
So initially, sir, I used to make very long notes, as you said, but then I found that it was just like reading the textbook. Then what is, if we make long notes, we make 5-page notes for every chapter, 5 pages is less, maybe 10 pages, and textbook is also around 10 to 12 pages.
Then so what is the point of making
What is the
notes?
point? Yes. So I used to read the textbook again and again, and when I found that I was not able to remember some point despite 3-4 rounds of reading, I used to note those. So it was like filtering what I know and what I don't know. So if it's like despite many rounds of reading I don't know, then I should pay attention to that. That is my priority.
Okay.
So I used to note them down, and then when I used to read those notes, it used to become clear to me. Because when you have just one page, more than anything, that mental burden is relieved.
Right.
That, instead of reading 10 pages, I have one page. So whatever I don't know is covered in one page. I can read it easily.
Okay.
And I also used to highlight in textbook. I used to underline, but it's not that I used to highlight the entire page or underline the entire page, because then it's just the same sort of highlighting the entire page.
Yes, I get it. So basically it's like filtering out whatever you don't know, because what you know, that is already in your head.
Yes.
You just need to extract that part.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Regarding practice, for biology part, practice versus theory. If I ask you in the starting phase of your preparation, like you were in 11th, and then what was the time you were spending on theory versus practice, and in the last months of your preparation, what was the time you were spending on these?
Initially, it was a combination of both, sir. I think I used to give, of course, more time to theory because biology has so many facts. And I feel question practice in biology is more of a way to remember the concept which you have already read, like to fix it in your mind, rather than understanding the concept itself. Understanding concept usually happens in class or when you read the textbook.
Right.
But question practice just helps you to fix that in your memory. So I used to spend more time in theory. In my last month, it was just mock tests, sir. So through all these mock tests, I understood how to learn NCERT better. And it was not like I learned all the points of NCERT and beyond the point, they just came in my memory. I think even now if I read NCERT, I'll find a new
That is the beauty of the textbook.
Yes.
Every time you read, it's like, yeah, I missed this part.
Yes.
Every time it happens to everyone,
Yes.
not only you. Okay. Any specific books you would recommend for practice as such? And theory part, I guess you strictly followed NCERT only, right?
Yes, sir.
And for practice, any book you would recommend?
For practice, I used my coaching module, sir.
Okay.
So there were multiple levels of questions, level 1, level 2, and PYQs, previous year questions are very important for all subjects and also for biology.
Okay.
And I think this year a question has come from a previous, based on a previous question. It was from reproduction chapter. So if we see that line in the question paper, it was not exactly matching with the NCERT line, but that line was used in NEET 2018 paper.
Which one? Which question are you talking about?
Spermation, sir.
Okay.
From or
into.
Yes.
Yeah. But that is fine only. I mean, people just that's okay. Let it be. Okay, fine. So this was about theory versus practice and biology, all of it. Fine. Now we move to a part where we are preparing. Everyone goes through a lot of things while preparation. There are many ups and downs in preparations, and there are phases in every aspirant's life, and there is a very down phase when our scores are not going well and our studies are not going well. So was there any such situation in your whole 2 years time frame?
Yes, sir. And this used to happen to me mainly during the last leg of my journey.
Okay.
And I used to feel that I should be perfect with this now. And why am I still making mistakes? I used to get rattled, I used to feel demotivated. But then I spoke to my parents, I spoke to my teachers also, and they told me that there is no one who's perfect. So errors are made by everyone. But every error is a teacher, and you should learn from the mistakes and not repeat them again. Or you should try not to repeat them again. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 mistakes to
to make sure you are not repeating it,
yes,
right?
Sir. But so that's about it, learning from the mistakes.
Okay, so that is actually a very important point. Ki do mistakes, but don't repeat them.
Yes.
And take 2 or 3 mistakes, that's okay, but make sure you are not repeating again. That's okay. I'll get back to this, but now let's move to physics and chemistry part. I'll first start with chemistry. So chemistry I'll be splitting up into inorganic, organic and physical. And I'll start with inorganic only because there's something that I am personally not very well at. Okay, so in organic chemistry there is a lot of things that you need to remember. Every line of NCERT looks very important.
Yes.
How to remember all of that?
I think I followed the same strategy as biology, sir. That is just repeated reading.
Just repeated reading.
And there were so many times when I felt that I am not able to remember half of the textbook. But I think that happens to everyone. And I just read the lines over and over again. I tried to analyze them differently. And as usual, whatever I did for biology, I followed in chemistry, inorganic chemistry also. That is noting down the points which I didn't remember despite repeated readings.
Okay.
And then paying attention to those specifically. In inorganic chemistry, there is something new, which is tables. There are so many tables in every chapter. So the important thing is not to learn the values of every table because values are not required, but the trends are required. Highest to lowest, the order is important. And again, there are many diagrams. There are captions below the diagrams. Some of them are important, like in B2H6, the hybridization of boron is there in the caption. It is not there in the main content. So that is very important as well.
Okay, so repeated reading, there is no secret strategy.
No secret, sir.
Okay, so how many times, if I ask you, okay, how many times have you read NCERT? For inorganic, for biology, is there any specific number? Because people, there is a tendency for students to follow these toppers that, okay, he's reading 10 times, I'll read 15 times. That they make plan this way. So is there any specific number that you would like to give?
I have frankly lost count, sir. I really don't know how many times I read it.
Okay.
Because 11th inorganic I read in 11th, but I think I didn't read it so well that time. In the sense I didn't really know how to tackle this inorganic that time. And I think I used to just skim through the NCERT textbook. In class 12th, I actually understood how to read NCERT based on all my mistakes in class 11 and based on inputs by teachers, and especially after seeing NEET 2020 and 2021 paper, I understood how to read NCERT.
Okay.
So I think after November, it was just repeated revision of NCERT.
Okay.
So I just read NCERT over and over again. I think I didn't pay much attention to coaching modules beyond that. I just read NCERT every day. And
this was for all the subjects, or you're specifically talking about biology and inorganic chemistry?
Actually, all the subjects, sir.
Kind of all. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But mainly, I think this textbook reading is very important for biology and inorganic. So I just read them more than I used to read other subjects.
Okay. So if I ask you about the textbooks you followed for inorganic, it would be just NCERT?
Just NCERT, sir.
Okay. And regarding practice, any special book you would recommend?
No, sir. Just coaching modules, because it's also very important to have NCERT based questions. So again, inorganic, you can go to any limit. Sky is the limit for inorganic as well. So it is very important to have questions based on what you have already read. That's the NCERT.
Right. So limiting your content is also one very, very important part.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we move to organic chemistry, a beautiful subject indeed.
Yes.
So what was your strategy for organic chemistry?
In organic, off late, that is after 2019, when I analyzed the papers, I found that all the reactions were coming from NCERT. So again, NCERT has to be read well. I think it doesn't require as many readings as inorganic does.
Okay.
But still, all the reactions in NEET come from NCERT. That is, they can give the reaction and they can ask the name of the reaction. They can ask products, which I think everyone knows. And then they can ask the reagent. Sometimes they can even ask the intermediates involved, which would be in NCERT only. If it's a 2 or 3 step process, then NCERT would have mentioned some intermediate, name of the intermediate, all that is very important. And beyond that, for question practice, I think coaching modules, of course.
Okay.
And then I referred one book, which is GRB Organic Chemistry by Himanshu Pandey.
Okay.
Although it had some reactions beyond the scope of NCERT, which are not asked in NEET, like Perkins condensation, there is a reaction. That is not asked in NEET, it is nowhere mentioned in NCERT. But one can have exposure to all this, but again, the base should be NCERT. So when one solves books like these, one should not get demotivated if they encounter a new reaction. That is very important.
You have to be confident that nothing will be coming out. So this is just for my extra knowledge purpose.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So NCERT being the base and this GRB book that you mentioned. And with regard to practice, the coaching modules only or any extra book or that GRB one that you are following?
No, sir. Actually, I had this strategy of not having too many books in all subjects.
Okay.
So for organic chemistry, it was coaching modules and GRB for question practice.
Okay, I'll get to book list at the end together. Okay, fine. So this was for organic chemistry, cool. And if I ask you how to remember named reaction, this is a very common question that we get. So any special secret strategy that you would recommend that by this you can remember everything at a go?
Again, it's repeated reading, sir, and then one can make flashcards.
Please elaborate on this.
Flashcards are just like small cardboard papers, I think, where you write down the reaction. Actually, you can write down anything, but for organic chemistry, it's like you write the reaction, just write the reactants and products.
Okay.
Because if one wants to remember the names of the reactions, this will be helpful.
Okay.
So there are not too many. If one makes 5-6 flashcards, it should be sufficient. And whenever one has free time, one can go through these flashcards.
Okay, just not writing the name of the reaction, just write the product, reactant, and then just try to recall that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So along with name and below that the reaction, reactants and products. Because this has been asked many times in NEET. They give the conversion and they ask what's the name of the reaction.
Yeah, it's a very common question, right? Okay. So that was about organic chemistry. Now we move to physical chemistry part. So regarding physical chemistry, what was your approach? Because it is more or less like physics only. There are concepts, there are certain formulas, very less number of formulas from which you can derive all the formulas that are given, and then a lot of practice. So what was your approach for physical chemistry? The books you followed for practice as well as theory, and in general the whole approach.
For physical chemistry, it is more about question practice.
Yes.
But once again, it's not that the numericals which come in NEET are very long numericals, 5-step numerical. They are just 1 or 2 steps, and they are just based on the basic formulae given in NCERT. So NCERT reading, learning all formulae from NCERT. But having said that, I think it's a common perception that for physics and physical chemistry, NCERT is not so important. But that's not the case. And especially of late, a lot of theory-based questions have been coming in NEET. Like in class 12, there are so many tables.
Yes.
Solid state, and then electrochemistry about the different types of cells, hydrogen fuel cell. There are so many theoretical questions that can be asked, so one should not neglect these. One should practice questions, one should focus on numericals, but along with that, this theory also is very important.
Okay.
So NCERT should not be neglected for this. Maybe it requires less number of readings compared to maybe inorganic chemistry or biology, because the concept can be retained very easily.
Yes.
But NCERT should be read and all points should be read once again.
Okay.
And then for question practice, numerical practice, I used coaching modules only. Okay. Not much beyond.
That's great. Since you are putting so much stress on NCERT reading, one add-on, there are certain in-text questions in NCERT and there are exercise questions. So did you solve all of them? And according to you, what is the importance of those questions? There are certain solved examples, right? And then certain unsolved ones, certain random questions. NCERT, like in biology, you have seen many cases, open-ended questions. You think yourself, and many times like there is for tapetal cells on multinucleate on something like that. There is an open-ended question. So were you doing all of them, or what was your approach?
For biology, those open-ended questions, the answers were given in my coaching module.
Okay.
So they used to cover this.
Okay.
And that was not much of a worry for me. Discussion with teachers and all that helped. And for chemistry, The in-text questions, I just used to go through them. And I think once in 2021, a question had been asked from this in-text directly.
Directly questions are coming up.
Yes, sir.
So you were doing in-text questions
Yes,
as
sir.
well. And the exercise questions that they give at
Yes,
the
sir.
end?
I used to solve them on my own.
Okay, so all of these are very important. So when you are reading NCERT, what is most important is you cannot leave even a single word from NCERT.
Exactly, sir.
That is the single most important thing. Okay, so that was all about chemistry. Now we move to physics, something that almost every NEET aspirant is, a bit having fear about this subject. So regarding physics, what was your approach? First of all, tell me, were you having this same fear when you were in 11th, you came to 11th, like physics, how will be solving? Without mathematics, how will be able to approach? And there's a notion in the head. So were you having this particular notion?
Yes, sir, very much. Actually, when I came to class 11th, I was scared about physics.
Okay.
So everyone used to say that physics is the rank determiner.
Yeah.
So biology, chemistry, everyone does, but how one does physics really determines how you do in NEET. And physics helps you get the college you desire.
Yeah.
So I was a little skeptical until then. Physics was my weak topic. But then I got rid of this fear. First, I told myself that I would become friendly with physics.
Okay.
I would not be scared to open the textbook.
Please elaborate on this, how you became friendly with physics.
I felt that, sir, physics is something which we could see before our eyes. It is based on our everyday life. For example,
Yes.
a pulley. We can visualize one block goes up, one block goes down, especially in mechanics. Maybe not so much for modern physics or electrostatics, but the first topic in 11th is mechanics. I felt that I could visualize these things. And when I visualized, it became much easier for me. And as everyone says in physics, this conceptual understanding is very important.
Right.
And this conceptual understanding doesn't just come by reading the textbook. It comes when you solve problems. And this is one thing which is unique about physics. Compared to physics and chemistry, or biology and chemistry, where one solves problem to fix the concept in the head. In physics, understanding the concept requires the question. So I used to solve a lot of problems, and I think in NEET, the questions which are asked are somewhat basic models.
Yeah.
Numericals are like substitution of formulae from NCERT. It is not like 5-step, 6-step questions. And so that is how I got rid of this fear of physics, and I think ultimately physics became my strong topic.
Oh.
Biology, I think every time one reads NCERT, one finds a new point. In exam, they ask from these points. And there are always those 1 or 2 questions where we miss in biology. But when it came to physics, I found that I was scoring full in many of my mock tests.
Okay. So it
physics
became your strongest.
Yes, sir.
Something which you feared about, now is your strongest point. That's really great. So regarding approaching physics, tell me specifics on how important is NCERT reading, and then which books you followed. And with regard to NCERT reading, 11th or 12th, both NCERT reading, then in-text questions of NCERT, exercise questions of NCERT, or beyond NCERT books like H.C. Verma is there, and H.C. Verma questions, almost many students have recommended this thing as well. So regarding this part, what was your approach?
So sir, for physics, I did use some extra books like H.C. Verma, for question practice, not anything besides H.C. Verma.
Okay.
And coming to NCERT, it is very important. Not so many readings as biology or inorganic chemistry, but still one should read NCERT because of late a lot of statement-based questions are coming. Earlier it was the perception that in physics it's just concept understanding and numericals, but that's not the case anymore. A lot of theory-based or fact-based questions are being asked in NEET. So I would split this physics into a few parts. Mechanics doesn't require so many readings because from NCERT there are not so many fact-based or memory-based questions which may be asked. But especially the second book of class 11th, which has chapters like gravitation, mechanical properties of solids, fluids, then thermodynamics, they have a lot of fact-based points. So one should read these at least 4 to 5 times. And one mistake which I had done when I was in class 11th was not reading the NCERT properly for physics and chemistry. I did for inorganic and organic, but not for physical chemistry. And then when I came to class 12th, I saw the NEET 2021 paper, and I found so many questions which are directly from NCERT. And I felt that no, I should just get going on NCERT now. And that's what I did. So I tried to utilize my time to the best. And I'm glad that it worked out. I think I got a little scared at that time that do I have so much time to read NCERT of 11th and 12th as well. So I did that actually. I read NCERT.
Okay. Regarding practice, you were saying just H.C. Verma. You were not using H.C. Verma for theory as such?
No sir, both theory and questions.
Okay.
I think, but more for questions because there were a lot of questions in every chapter in H.C. Verma. Some of them were new models.
Yes.
And I used to solve my coaching modules, of course.
Okay. Regarding physics, there is one problem that students usually face when they read the whole chapter. They feel like they know everything. They feel like, yes, now I have the command on this chapter. Now they move ahead to solve the questions. When they start solving the questions, the problem comes is, suppose they start with the first question. It's a very simple formula-based question. They are able to do it. The second one, suppose they're not able to recall that formula. Third one is a mixed concept problem where they get stuck. Now, after being stuck on these two questions, it's very tough to move to the fourth one. So, was this the situation that you ever faced regarding while solving questions, stucking on a particular problem and thinking, because of which you were not able to solve the other problems?
Yes, sir. This used to happen to me sometimes.
So, how to tackle this part? Your approach?
I used to leave that question for some time, sir, and come back to in the end. And if I couldn't get it even in the end, I used to ask my teachers immediately. So this doubt clearing is very important in physics. It happens, I think there are so many models in physics.
Yes.
And it's very important to be exposed to this. One gets this exposure only through question practice. So there is no substitute to question practice, and one should not get scared. This question practice should become one's bread and butter. No getting scared of this.
Yes.
Even I couldn't solve all the problems, and I don't think there's anyone who can solve all the problems in the first shot.
Yeah.
So doubt clearing is very important. Anytime one gets a doubt, he or she should ask the teacher immediately, not procrastinating, because that's very important. If you have a doubt that stays at the back of your head, and if you try to solve the remaining questions,
Yes.
it is a burden.
You won't be able to focus
Yes.
in that way. So clarity, immediately clarifying the doubts. Now,
Yes,
it's
sir.
not like thinking, overthinking that, oh my God, what I will do, and I won't be able to do anything.
Yes,
So
sir.
that thought process is not good at all. Fine.
It's not good, sir.
Okay. So that was about practice we talked about in physics, theory we talked about, everything we touched. Okay. So now we come to the timeline part. जब मैं टाइमलाइन कहता हूँ मतलब मैं तुम्हारी प्रिपरेशन जर्नी को इंक्लूड करता हूँ पूरी कि जब तुम 10th से 11th व्हेन यू आर ट्रांजिटिंग फ्रॉम 10th to 11th देयर इज अ फेज बिकॉज इन 10th there is not that much competition. We don't even know that such huge competition actually exists. So how were you able to tackle this competition? And then from 11th to 12th when you move, sometimes what happens is that in 11th part, because we sometimes are not that serious, so sometimes because of n number of reasons we leave certain topics, or there's certain backlogs that are created. So were there any backlogs in your preparation time frame, and if there, how were you able to manage? So include both of these things, transition from 10th to 11th and these backlogs part.
So sir, 10th to 11th, I think my teachers had told me in class 9th and 10th already that in class 11th and 12th, you know, there will be 100 chapters overall. 11th and 12th, I think PCB, there are 100 chapters which are required for NEET. So they told me that in 9th and 10th itself, and they said that, you know, if you have an early start, this will greatly benefit you. So I did that. I just read the relevant topics of 11th and 12th in class 9th and 10th itself. Like human physiology comes in class 10th. So I read 11th human physiology in class 10th itself.
Oh, you already did that?
Yes, sir. I had done a little bit of this. Not
so
entirely.
you took the words of your teachers very seriously. Usually students don't take in 9th and 10th that, okay, that's fine, we'll see in 11th or whatever. You did already. Okay, please elaborate on that. Yeah, continue.
Yes, sir. So I didn't do entirely. And it's not that when I came to 11th, I was perfect with the human physiology, but I had some idea about it.
Okay.
And that helped me because there are so many new chapters in class 11th, like rotational dynamics. This is not seen by anyone till then. And I think thermodynamics also to some extent. The calculating work from PV graph, and these are completely new concepts. So these can rattle you in class 11th. So to avoid that, I had gained some exposure to these topics in class 9th and 10th itself.
Okay.
Relevant topics, of course. I didn't do rotational mechanics, but I had done his physiology.
Okay, physiology you already did in this part. Okay.
So I was somewhat comfortable with these topics, and I could give more attention to the completely new topics.
Okay, so that would have been really a smooth transition
Yes,
then,
sir.
because you already knew what situation you are going to face. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now coming to backlog. So because see, n number of reasons might be there, and when I say n number of reasons, I include bad health situation or some family function or something like that, because of which you miss out certain classes or certain topics that create backlogs. So how were you able to manage them?
I used to keep some time for self-study every day, sir. That is besides what I used to attend in coaching. I used to keep some time for self-study, and I believe that this is very important. I used to keep around 5 hours of self-study every day.
Okay.
So
When you say 5 hours of self-study, how much time were you spending in school versus coaching versus self-study?
School was till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sir. Morning 8:30 to 1:15 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I used to study from 2 to 5, self-study that was.
Okay.
5 to 8 was again coaching. Then
Okay.
I used to spend 1 or 2 hours in the night in self-study.
Okay.
So that's how I used to organize my day.
Okay.
And I am really grateful that my schedule permitted me to have a very good number of hours for self-study every day. So this helped me complete my backlogs. I think I used to revise what was taught in class immediately, so that was not much of a problem. And whenever I had backlogs, I could dedicate enough time every day for completing these backlogs.
Okay.
And I believe that this is something which one should prioritize, because backlogs can burden you. It's always at the back of your head.
Yes.
Kuye bacha hai, and you feel that when you are reading a new topic, you are not able to understand it fully because of that backlog. So वो continuity की बहुत ज़रूरत रहती है.
And students keep asking this, that I have this much backlog, that much backlog, and because of that they are not able to concentrate on what is ongoing.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That creates a huge problem. So basically you need to make sure you have ample amount of time for self-study, and you need to put in some extra efforts,
Yes,
right,
sir,
to complete those backlogs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this was about your preparation. Now coming to the end part of your preparation, regarding the last few months of the preparation. Okay, but before I move to that, tell me about how important is being disciplined and how important is being organized in this preparation time frame.
It is very important, sir, and I used to make a to-do task list every day. It is not that I used to say I had to study for 5 hours, I had to study for 6 hours. It was not that. I decided that I had to complete so and so chapters today.
Okay.
So it included reading the chapter or maybe question practice.
Okay.
And I used to prioritize my week topics. And I think this really helped me, because when you organize your day, you get to know what you have to complete in that particular day, and you don't just get lost, because sometimes if you don't organize yourself, it happens that people just spend time sitting simply thinking of what to do.
What to do.
And
exactly.
so many hours go, they don't have a track of time, and they don't think that I have this much to complete. That is not there in their mind, and then when they realize it, it's too late.
Okay, so when I was asking about being organized, so is there any point in your whole preparation time frame that you had this timetable that everyone makes, that waking up at this time, then studying 1 hour physics, then 1 hour chemistry, like this? Did you ever had this particular type of timetable?
I didn't have this strategy that I spend 1 hour on physics, 1 hour chemistry, 2 hours biology. I didn't have that. It depended on what I had to complete.
Right.
At some points, I had to do more chapters of biology. At some points, I had to focus on physics. So I just made the to-do task list, and I knew how much time it would require for me to complete that particular topic.
Okay.
So that is how I used to organize.
So this to-do task list is very important.
Yes.
It makes you very organized.
Yes.
Okay.
Because just saying I will spend 1 hour on physics, 1 hour chemistry, if you by chance are not able to follow that, say if you get stuck in some problems, then that disrupts your entire day.
Okay.
You start regretting, or you feel that your schedule is gone, you need to make a new schedule.
Yes.
I felt that this was a risk, and I didn't want to do that. I knew around how much time it would take, and I used to keep some extra buffer. For if I couldn't get some questions, if I had to clarify with my teachers, I kept some buffer time also.
You always had this buffer.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now getting back to the timeline again, in this preparation time frame, we are studying, we are practicing a lot, but at the end, like you have around 4-5 months in hand, and what is the most important thing right now is to revise everything. So were you doing this, that sticking charts everywhere in the room and then walking, and then wherever you go you see just subject matter and you are revising it? So what was your strategy on revision, or making or revising all the notes every day? Like you're taking 3 days to revise whole physics, 5 days for biology. What was your revision strategy? Please elaborate on that.
So sir, for revision, it's not that I struck charts all around my room, because I felt that that would just make my room look clumsy, and then I would feel like not even looking at it. Even I think many of my friends used to write on the space given in NCERT. So I think there is some space on the left hand side or right hand side of the page. But I didn't like that as well, because that would make my
Is
page
there any
look clumsy.
specific reason?
Yes sir, that I think I felt that it would make the page too clumsy, and then I would not feel like reading anything.
Okay.
So
you like to keep things very sorted and
yes,
neat and clean.
Neat and clean, yes sir.
Okay.
So I didn't highlight too much also, I didn't underline too much also, I just used to highlight or underline the points which I didn't cover for the first time. So for revision, this is what I used to do. It was just repeated reading of NCERT, and if there was some point which I couldn't grasp despite repeated readings, I used to note them down in some book, and then I just used to revise that.
Okay.
So that would be very organized for me, and I felt that within one page I could just cover all my weak points which I couldn't remember. And one thing is that if you make notes, invariably you miss out something in NCERT. So I think if you have to cover every point of NCERT, then you just have to write the entire textbook in the notes. So I
very precise.
I spent more time in just reading NCERT, keeping everything else aside, reading NCERT, and then these notes which helped me recollect the points which I couldn't remember, But I think every time I read NCERT, I would add some point in those notes.
There's always this thing in every NEET aspirant that they're never satisfied with reading NCERT. Yes. Every time they want to read it again and again. And it's actually very good because that's how beautifully the textbook is written. Okay. Now let's come to last phase of preparation journey. There are around 3-4 months left. So mock tests versus revision, or because certain students follow this strategy that they give a mock test, they find out that this is my weak point. Now let me read this. This is suppose from rotation is my weak point. I get to know. Then there is this group of students who will go and read the entire rotation chapter, and then they give back another mock test, and that is how certain students follow. So what was your strategy in these last 3-4 months after giving mock tests? How did you channelize your energy with regard to preparation?
So sir, regarding mock tests, first I used to give part syllabus mock tests to become perfect with every topic, and then I used to go for full syllabus. I think I started full syllabus mock tests in the month of April.
In April, okay.
I think 31st March or 1st April, sometime like that. I gave around 100 mock tests, full syllabus
100 mock tests?
Around 100.
From April?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I think there were 100 days around for NEET exam, barring I think NEET was on July 17th.
Yes.
So I got around 100 days, plus minus few I couldn't give every day, but 100 I gave.
But that can be, we can say that almost regular basis you are giving a mock test,
sir.
Okay.
Either in offline mode, that is going to my institute and giving. Otherwise, my teachers used to share mock tests over WhatsApp. So they were the past papers of the institute.
Okay.
I used to go through them. I used to solve those papers. So it was just one mock test almost every day. And then I used to analyze the mock test, but analyzing doesn't mean that I used to just study the entire chapter. I used to analyze the pattern of mistakes. For example, a diagram-based question. It's not that I learned the entire chapter for a diagram-based mistake. I learned all the diagrams of NCERT. Okay. And so if I missed some labeling, I used to be thorough with all the labelings. I had 1 day gap. So I used to dedicate a lot of time, say around 5 hours on that particular day to remember all the labelings. And so that next day I would not be making a mistake based on labeling or a diagram. So pattern, analyzing pattern rather than just gross reading of entire chapter is going to be more helpful in my opinion.
Okay, so regarding this pattern, suppose you are missing out a particular concept, then what would you do? Suppose there is a concept that requires, like you forget the backstory and you suppose there is a need, you feel that you need to read the entire chapter, then what would you be doing?
I used to just read the chapters. I think I had enough time after every mock test every day. So I used to read the chapter again if it was some conceptual based part. Now, I generally thought I would not forget concepts, and this didn't happen to me often, but it used to happen sometimes. I was confident that this would not happen to me often. So if this is a weak point, let me just cover this weak point. It is one in a very, there are very few topics of that sort. So this is just
okay. So last phase of preparation was all about giving mock test, analyzing the weak point, pattern of mistakes, finding out that, and working out it on the next day, and then giving back again a mock test, right? So this was the whole time frame that I can talk about. Okay. Now coming to 1 month before exam. Now see, what exactly happens is that in the whole preparation time frame, we know that NEET hai hoga, kabhi na kabhi hoga. But now we have 1 month, we know this is the date, we have exactly around 30 days left to go. We experience an enormous amount of pressure, and in this pressure, when you sit and give a mock test, there is a complete different vibe, complete different feeling. So were you facing the same situation, and because of it, were you doing mistakes and all?
Actually, sir, I had been accustomed to giving mock tests for the past 2 months.
Yeah, you already mentioned that, 100 mock tests.
100 mock tests. So in the last 1 month, although our papers did become more intensive, it was called intensive program.
Okay.
So they started giving questions which students would generally miss out on in NEET. So they were based on the lines of NCERT which we would not have read. They also know the way we read, and they analyzed our psyche, and they used to give such questions. So I used to make more mistakes in those mock tests, and that is especially when I used to get demotivated. But then I understood that no one is perfect, and I think our teachers also told us that don't judge your performance based on these tests. Just have that thing which you take away and then revise it. So these are to make you know where you can make mistake. And these are to secure those last 20 marks in it. So I think some around 680, 700 can be scored easily if one reads NCERT, but there are those last 20 questions which really make the difference. So these are to make you familiar, accustomed to those type of questions is what they told me. And initially I had this craze of 720 on 720, I have to get this, because in the past 2 years that has been the
yes.
I found that if I made one mistake, my rank could slip by some 50, 100. So that fear was there. I thought I wanted to be perfect with everything, but that became a burden on me. And I think when I realized that no one is perfect, I just kept this aside. I focused on giving my best in the exam.
That is the single most important thing, giving your best.
Giving your best in exam.
Yes, okay.
And
so when was this that you realized this situation that 721, 780 is okay, but I need to give my best?
It was in the end, sir, last 1 month only.
Okay.
So when these type of questions started coming, I realized that chhod do, I think. And
okay.
These are rare in NEET. So even our teacher said there is very less chance of them coming, but we don't want to have any chance. We want you to be perfect with everything. So I realized that they were designed in such a way, so leave that 720 aside. Just so my focus shifted on getting an AIMS seat, coming in top 46 or top 50.
Okay.
I thought that was more doable than this 720. It was putting a lot of pressure on me. So.
Okay, that's really great. Now coming to, since you were talking about mock tests and you gave a lot of mock tests, specifically mention about the way you attempted a paper. Like there may be n number of strategies, and I always recommend that develop your own strategy, but I would love to hear it from you. What was your strategy? Like doing physics, chemistry, biology, or biology, chemistry, physics, or just doing easy questions at first from all the subjects, then medium, then tough. What was your strategy?
I tried various combinations in my mock tests, sir.
Yeah.
So it is not that I stuck to one particular strategy, but I think while giving NEET exam, it is important to solve the section which you are comfortable with first.
Okay.
Because if a student starts solving the section which he is not comfortable with, then it can happen that he or she doesn't solve many questions, and then when they go to start, when they start solving their easy section, the section which they are comfortable with, they can't solve it with a very good frame of mind, and this frame of mind is very important in NEET because you have almost just 1 minute per question. 180 questions, 180 minutes, 200 minutes they have made for OMR, it takes time, so not more than 1 minute per question. So if one gets thrown off track, it takes a lot of time to come back. So having this frame of mind is very important in the NEET exam hall. So I think it is better to start with a section with which one is comfortable.
And that comfortable can be physics, chemistry, or biology?
Yes, sir, it varies.
It depends upon the student. So what was your comfortable zone?
I think biology, sir. I used to complete the entire biology section within 20 minutes.
Oh, within 20 minutes you were able to do. So this paper also you did in 20 minutes, this year's exam. Yes, okay. So this is the first time listening from anyone that someone did this paper in 20 minutes. That's actually
biology section.
Yeah, that's actually great because this year's paper was actually very analytical, kind of lengthy if you compare with the previous year. So it means if you were doing biology this year in 20 minutes, the whole paper would have been done in around 1 hour 45 minutes.
My strategy was like solving the paper and then checking twice. Okay. I used to get time to check twice, so I finished this entire paper in 1 hour 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then I checked twice.
Okay, so 1 hour 10 minutes this whole, and you were able to solve all the questions in 1 hour 10 minutes.
Yes, sir. I think although during my round of checking, first round of checking, I did spot 3 errors.
Oh.
But this was my strategy that I think I invariably used to make 2-3 mistakes in every.
That is why we recheck.
That's why, sir. I think because this is my habit that in the first attempt the accuracy is not so great.
Okay.
I think so. I developed this strategy that I solved everything as quickly as possible, and during this entire course of 2 years, I tried minimizing the time for the first round of solving. So I could minimize it to 1 hour to 1 hour 10 minutes. Sometimes it could go to 1 hour 30 minutes also. But in this NEET exam hall, luckily I was able to complete in 1 hour 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I did check twice, but there was one hurdle which I faced in the NEET exam hall. That is, I got only 3 hours 5 minutes to solve the paper, rather than 3 hours 20 minutes specified in the question paper. So the invigilator interpreted it differently. I don't know how it was, but our papers were collected at 5:05. So my second round of checking was not as thorough as I had wanted it to be. I had to finish it in 30 minutes. I couldn't check botany for the second time. I think that was fine because in my first round of checking, I didn't find a mistake in botany. I had found in physics, chemistry and zoology, but not in botany. So I checked these subjects for the second time. Ultimately, a mistake happened in botany.
That is actually not your mistake.
I don't think
everyone has challenged that question, but that's fine. No one got the bonus, else we would have got again 720 and 70. Like 4 people got this year, right?
Yes, sir. So my strategy was like, first I used to solve all the questions as soon as possible, sir. This time it took just 1 hour 10 minutes for me. And then I checked the paper twice. This was the strategy which I developed in my mock tests. And I felt that in my first attempt, my accuracy wasn't great, although I need to work on this in the future. But in these 2 years, I realized that in the first attempt, I invariably used to make some mistakes. So it's better to have some time for checking. In these 2 years, I minimized the time which I used to take to solve the questions for the first time. And then I used to have some time for checking. And this is what I followed in the NEET exam hall as well. Although I did face one hurdle, which was that in the NEET exam hall, I got only 3 hours 5 minutes instead of 3 hours 20 minutes as mentioned on the question paper.
So why is it that?
Rules were interpreted differently, sir. I think invigilator thought that at that 5:20 was the time at which they had to submit the paper in the office.
Oh,
Not the time for us to submit the paper to the
Okay,
invigilator.
okay. But anyway, you were able to complete
Yes, sir.
properly.
The only problem, I think, it's not exactly a problem. I would say that I couldn't check botany for the second time. I checked physics, chemistry, and zoology, but not
Okay.
botany. I kept this botany aside because in the first round I didn't find a mistake in botany. So I completed the second round of checking in half an hour. Although ultimately a mistake happened in botany, but I don't think I could have done anything about that.
No, that is actually fine because everyone challenged that question, and if you would have got bonus, then 720 on 720 would have been an easy way. But I mean, one question from this, you were able to solve biology in 20 minutes, and I know our learners will be having this question in their head, that how were you able to manage solve this paper in 20 minutes, because it was actually a lengthy one. There were a lot of statement-based questions. There were certain numericals as well that required a lot of analysis. So how you did it?
So sir, I think giving repeated mock tests really helped me in this.
Okay.
And I think when I gave the NEET paper, all the 180 questions had been seen by me sometime earlier during the course of mock tests. Because invariably when we give 100 mock tests, we I think cover almost all the types of questions.
All the possibilities are done.
Yes, sir. And even in those tests, we used to have 6 statements, 5 statements. How many of these are correct? Not even combination. How many? 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a very difficult model. But
very difficult model, yes.
We were exposed to this, sir, and I'm really thankful to my institute for this. And ultimately in the NEET exam hall, I didn't find biology very stressful. Except for that one botany question. I had kept it for end and I kept thinking multiple times about it, but I didn't get an answer. I had to choose one of the options.
Yes.
I just chose 4th option. I think ultimately it was 3rd option. So besides this question, there was nothing which was out of NCERT, I believe.
Out of NCERT, there was nothing, but this paper was quite analytical.
Yes,
and like you practice 100 mocks, that's actually great, but students usually don't do this much. So this actually explains the importance of practice. And what is the most important thing is that if you know all the possible questions, then there will be no way that a NEET exam can stop you from scoring that well.
Yes, sir, because I think in NEET, generally there is no new model which is out much beyond NCERT which is asked. Almost basic models. And in biology, although this time assertion reason questions have been asked, which was a surprise to me as well in the exam hall, I think this time they were somewhat straightforward. Not as confusing as used to be asked in AIMS exam.
But I'm genuinely very happy because they actually uplifted the level of biology. Since last 2 years, they were like biology was chal raha hai, bas chalta hai.
Yes, sir, I think last year it was just one sentence question, one word options.
Yes, it was hardly 15-minute paper last year's. But this year's, I mean, they actually great. But this time physics was actually easy part, I suppose.
Yes, sir. Chemistry, biology were somewhat on the higher side, but physics was compensated for that.
Yes.
So one more thing which I would like to add is there is no toughest subject, there is no easiest subject. Even this physics, which many people are scared of, or they feel that this is a killer, it can be a savior.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'll just add on this question here, that people often ask, students often ask that what are the most important chapters, that should we do this chapter and will I be able to crack it by doing this chapter. So what is your advice to those learners? Just add this particular point when you are explaining your part.
If we look at weightage, sir, in physics, I think rotational dynamics is the most important part. Besides that, there is electrostatic potential and capacitance in class 12th. And modern physics is very important, especially semiconductors part. As a whole, the unit is important, and semiconductors gets more questions. And
modern as such,
yes, sir, modern
having
physics.
high weight, yeah.
Yes, sir. And in chemistry, we have organic chemistry, general organic chemistry and hydrocarbons, that is class 11th part. In class 12th, it is aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acids, which is the most important chapter. And in biology, morphology of flowering plants, anatomy of flowering plants, biological classification, plant kingdom. Earlier it was animal kingdom, but now it is not so much in recent years. And then biotechnology. It's both the chapters are very important. Human reproduction. These are the important topics as far as I can recollect. But having said that, there is no particular set of important chapters which one should focus on, and he thinks that he can score very high marks, because if one wants to cross that barrier of 650 or 680, all the chapters are important. And there are some years in which the neglected chapters like living world has had 5 questions. So one cannot afford to ignore any chapter.
This is what I was waiting to hear actually, that you cannot afford to lose even a single chapter.
Yes.
And when you have actually a great amount of time, if I look at time from right now, you have actually a great amount of time and you can complete all the chapters thoroughly. And being thorough on every chapter actually gives you confidence as well. Right, so that is going to be an easy way to crack this particular exam. Okay, so now regarding mock tests, I'll add on this particular point that regarding OMR filling. And so is there any special way that you used to follow, like solving one question, filling an OMR, or solving, let us suppose 25 questions, then filling the OMR, or section by section filling OMR? What was your way?
Since I am not very accurate in my first attempt, sir, I used to keep this OMR and filling for the end.
Okay.
Because there are some instances where I used to find an error in the second attempt. I would not have found in first checking, but in second round of checking, I found that error.
Okay.
So I was very scared to mark this OMR quickly. I took my time for it, and I used to mark it in the end. Although that did get me into some trouble during the exam hall, because I had planned to do it in the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
But then I got to do the paper only till 5:05. So I started at 4:50. 4:50 to 5:05 or 5:07, I did the OMR filling. So because of that, I had to hurry up with the checking. The second round of checking, I couldn't check botany for that.
You mentioned that.
Yes, sir. So I think a person should follow the strategy which he is comfortable with. There is no best strategy, there is no worst strategy.
Okay.
It is very important to do what one is comfortable with. So I've seen many of my friends who are comfortable with marking the OMR immediately after they solve a question, because they are confident that they can.
Yeah, but for that you have to be extremely confident that yes, this is the answer, and I will not rethink on that.
Yes, sir. Depends on time management also. If a person feels that he or she may not get enough time to revisit the question, this is the first time I solve it and this is the last time. So in that case, the OMR can be filled immediately, and I'm sure that person would have developed that confidence that my answer is going to be correct. I mean, I don't think I will change it. So in that case, OMR can be filled immediately.
I actually love this very honest opinion of yours on this, that there is no best strategy, there is no worst strategy. You need to develop your own strategy. That is the most important point. Okay. So now let's move to the end game, the D-Day, the exam day. So how was that? I mean, just elaborate on that, the honest opinion of yours. You got the paper, there must have been a very stressful condition. Then you opened the paper, you looked at this certain lengthy question, certain short question. But since you gave a lot of mock tests, it would have been easy for you. How was that day for you? So tell me the whole storyline, starting from the start since you wake up and then till the end of the exam.
After I woke up, I think it was around 6 o'clock. So I didn't touch any of my textbooks. Actually, I had been told by my teachers to stop touching textbooks 2 days before the exam.
So were you actually doing that?
No, sir. I tried my best, but there were always few points which I felt I should read again. So I didn't read extensively, but I did brush through the textbook. But on the exam day, I didn't open the textbook. And then I reached my exam center. I reached at 11:30, which was the reporting time given to me. But there was a lot of crowd in that exam hall. So what we decided to do, we just, my father and I had gone to the exam hall, so we took a stroll. And we came back at around 12:30 or 1 o'clock. We entered the exam. I entered the exam hall, and then we got the bunch of that is OMR plus question paper. That packet we got at 2 o'clock only.
Okay.
And I started filling the OMR sheet, and within 5 minutes I started attempting the paper, but I got one shock immediately. My invigilator told me that I couldn't tick on the question paper.
Oh.
So I had been used to ticking on my question paper all through the course of my mock tests. But on the exam day, I'm told that I cannot tick on the question paper. So I just...
so you were not able to mark anything on the exam paper?
Yes, we were told not to make a single mark on the question paper. Everything should be done in the rough space. And unluckily for us this time, there was no rough space at the bottom of every paper also. All the rough space was given at the back. 3 pages at the back. So I took 1 page for writing question number and writing the answer. I couldn't afford to just mark directly on the OMR sheet. And I think if I had done that, I would have scored only 700 marks. Because I made 3 errors in the first round of checking. I would have got only 700. So this is what I did. I took 1 page for writing the question number and answer next to it. And it was a little cumbersome because I had to flip and see every question, again flip to the last page and write. For every question I had to do this. And I think I'm really lucky that I was able to complete the paper very quickly on that day. I mean, I didn't deviate from my strategy because I know I had maintained a particular strategy since the first mock test.
Yeah, and suddenly everything changes on the exam day.
I think I would have really gotten rattled and I would have been thrown off track. That's where I say that there's a lot of luck which is involved in this NEET exam. And I'm really glad that I was able to maintain my calm and composure on that exam day. And I think one more thing which happened this year was physics was not lengthy.
Yes.
So those remaining 2 papers were sufficient for me to do my rough work. If physics were to be lengthy, then I think I would have required some 3-4 rough papers. But this time physics was easy. Biology, even though it was lengthy, it didn't require so much of working. It was more of our thinking. So biology I could manage without any rough space. It was just chemistry and physics, which could be completed in 2 pages.
So what I can infer from this is that the most important learning from this is that you need not to panic when the situation changes there. You need to adapt to that situation and act accordingly.
Yes, sir. Like one should think, what best can I do now under
Yes.
the given circumstances?
Right.
These things are not in our hands. But what is in our hands is what we can do.
Right.
And we should think. We should take some time and think, and we should know what we can do, which does not contradict our capabilities. We don't start doing something new which we are not accustomed to, but at the same time follow the rules which are set by the invigilator or anyone who is supervising us.
Okay. So that is really on a great note that I guess we covered every aspect of your preparation journey, and I guess we covered all the possible questions that a NEET aspirant might have. So one message for all the NEET aspirants who are going to give a NEET in the coming years, be it Topper or be it Fresher. And since I didn't include this in the interview, I just wish to keep it subject specific. Regarding one special advice for the people who are also going to attempt the NEET exam with the board exams, any special advice?
I think board exam and NEET exam preparation strategy is almost same, sir, because any medical student would have taken PCB.
Yes.
And the way we have to read NCERT for board exam is the same as the way we read NCERT for NEET these days, because we have to just learn each and every statement. It is about whether we reproduce that statement as it is in the board exam, or whether we recollect that statement and select an option which is going to happen in the NEET paper. But the way we read, I think it's almost same for both board and NEET, so now that's not a problem. There might be one extra subject which is English, which I used to cover before the board exam.
Okay.
So I think board exam there is almost 1 week gap for every subject. So English language can be managed in that
It's
time.
very well manageable.
Yes.
Right. And there is no some special way that you need to specially focus on board exam in a different way.
Yes.
It's not like that.
It's not that.
Okay. So NEET is like a big box and you have a small box like board exam.
Board
in
exam.
there.
Board exam.
It's already included, right?
Yes,
okay.
sir. Board exam is just 12th. NEET is 11th and 12th. But it's also very important to keep revising 11th throughout the course of 12th. So that's what I used to do. I used to spend some time in 12th for 11th revision, and I used to do that even during board exam, because we used to get 1 week gap. And I think I had learnt by then that 1 week is not required to learn just one textbook of class 12th. So I mean, I had learned to revise the entire 11th and 12th NCERT in 1 week.
Okay.
So when I got 1 week for just one textbook of 12th, which is 1/4 of the NEET syllabus, it was very easy for me.
Yes.
I could manage my time very well.
Okay, that's really great. Okay, so apart from this NEET UG exam, इसको छोड़ के और भी तुमने कोई competitive exam दिया, and what were your achievements in them?
Yes, sir. I believed in giving these competitive exams to gain exposure and to judge myself from the beginning, that is since young age. But my main focus on this competitive exam started in class 10th when I gave NTSC.
Okay.
So I qualified both stage 1 and stage 2.
So you're an NTSC scholar as
Yes.
well. Okay, great.
And I think this really gave me confidence. So very few students are selected for this across the nation, and it really gave me confidence. Although NTSC stage 2 was held much later, it was held when I was in class 11th, when I was about to finish class 11th because of pandemic.
Yeah.
So when I was about to enter class 12th in the month of March 2021, February 2021 it was held. But that really gave me confidence during this NEET preparation. And then I gave KVPY essay and SX. In essay,
in 11th and 12th both you gave.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
okay.
In essay, I secured All India rank 342.
That's
And
great.
in SX, I secured 40th rank. All over
40th
India.
rank. Okay, that's amazing.
And apart from that, I gave.
So I got an NTSC scholar here, KVPY scholar here. Okay, fine. I guess these exams are now abolished. I guess
KVPY is abolished.
NTSC is also they are merging this some way. Okay, well.
I think I am not sure about NTSC, sir.
Okay.
I think NTSC will be considered for KVPY. I mean, there is no KVPY. It's been merged
KVPY has been
merged
abolished. Yeah.
with Inspire. So when they in Inspire, they will consider this NTSC. If you are NTSC scholar, then you can get admission to this science, BSc,
IASC and all of that.
IASC and ISER.
Okay. And yeah, next exam, please continue. I'll just keep a note of all of that. Yeah.
Biology and Physics Olympiad, sir. Physics Olympiad, I cleared the first stage NSCP.
Okay.
And Biology Olympiad, I cleared the second stage as well, INBO.
Okay.
I am in top 36 and I would have been eligible for the camp.
Okay.
But they have not held that camp yet because it was not used for selecting the students to international Olympiad. They may conduct anytime. They will inform us regarding that. And then
I guess I need to take some more interviews on specifically on Olympiads, then NTSC, then KVPY. Yeah, and the next?
JEE mains, sir, I secured 99.86 percentile.
Okay.
And I got
that's
100
great.
in physics and chemistry.
That's percentile or score? Percentile, right? 100 percentile.
Percentile and
Yeah,
score,
yeah.
sir. 100 out of 100 in physics and chemistry. Maths, I had not prepared, it was not good. And I secured 239 out of 300.
Okay.
And my all India rank was 1359.
This was in
JEE mains, sir.
JEE mains.
Mains.
Okay, okay.
And I
Then
gave.
you must have been giving this JEE advance as well.
Yes, sir. And
Yeah.
I got 1033 rank in that.
1033 in JEE advance.
Yes, sir.
So that's quite an achievement, yeah. That's actually amazing. So why IIT? Now I will ask this. You have two options, IIT as well as AIMS, hai na? So obviously you are going to AIMS. That's actually really amazing. So any special advice for JEE candidates as well? I would love to hear it from you.
Actually, I don't think I can say much, sir, because I just went with it with NEET preparation. Went for it with NEET preparation. So I think I tried to prepare at a higher level throughout these 2 years. So beyond NCRT, a little beyond NCRT, and that helped me in these exams. And I also decided not to work myself out in these exams. So I didn't stress myself. I didn't try to do too much because I knew my ultimate goal was NEET.
In JEE advanced, can you specify the score in physics, chemistry as well as maths?
In physics, it was I think 79, sir.
79. If JEE candidates must be watching this, they know the value of this much score in JEE advanced. And next?
Chemistry was 83, sir.
83. And okay, mathematics?
Maths is very less, sir. In single digit it was.
Okay, that's fine. You didn't even had maths as a subject in 11th and 12th.
And I think my time management went for a toss in JEE advanced.
Okay.
So I think although I did score all right in physics and chemistry, I took a lot of time for this. Okay. So in the end, I didn't have time for maths.
But the best part is like all of these exams gave you great exposure.
Yes, sir.
And great achievements indeed.
Actually, I gave these exams for exposure only, sir.
Okay.
JEE mains is conducted by NTA. And the syllabus is NCRT for physics and chemistry. And when I gave the exam also, everything was from NCRT.
Everyone will be saying that for exposure you are getting this much rank. So if you would have been serious candidate, then what would have happened? Okay, that's cool. So now we move to a very special section. ठीक है, तुमने बहुत सारे achievements already किए. You have done really great, but this might be really a tough one to crack. This is the CTwT rapid fire. So I'll be asking you very quick and amazing questions. ठीक है, and if you're able to answer all of them very nicely, you'll also be getting a great gift hamper from our end. ठीक है, so let me quickly cut to the questions. So the first one is, what's something you could eat for a week straight?
A week straight.
No, like for a week continuously, what you can eat?
Home food, sir.
Home food, you love it.
Yes,
okay. Then when was the last time you stayed up past 4 in the morning?
I think it was during my when I had to go for exam, for JEE exam or for NEET exam.
Okay. And who inspires you?
My parents and my teachers.
Parents and teachers, okay. What is your favorite childhood TV show?
Maybe Chhota Bheem.
Chhota Bheem, okay. That's great choice. And name 5 places that you want to cover as a holiday.
I want to cover my state Karnataka first of all.
Okay.
I want to cover some places like Belur, Haridabid.
Okay.
And then there is Basva Kalyan in North Karnataka.
Okay.
And then a lot of other places in India like Ajanta.
5 places. I want the name of 5 places.
Ajanta Ellora and
Okay.
Taj Mahal.
Okay.
And then Varanasi Mahakal Temple.
Okay. 2 more.
5 to 1.
Okay. Including this Karnataka.
Yes,
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And one more. What never fails to make you laugh?
Listening to my sister.
Okay. What is she doing? In which class she is?
She's in class 7, sir.
Okay.
And I think even when I'm stressed, I listen to her and then I smile.
Okay.
Very sweet child.
And the last question. Would you rather fly or have super strength?
I would rather have super strength, sir. I think
Any specific reason?
I can help people with that. If I
Okay.
fly, I don't know what I can do. I would maybe be doing it more for my own enjoyment. But if I have super strength, I can help people.
Okay, so great answers यार. So हमारी तरफ से तुम्हारे लिए एक छोटा सा gift hamper है. You have won this finally. ठीक है. Many congratulations to you once again. So now at the end, all the aspirants, one message for all the NEET aspirants from your end.
So be confident in yourself. This confidence is very important during your preparation and during the exam time. You know what to do, you know how much time you will take for everything, you know your weak areas, you know your strong areas, and now you know how to prepare entirely. because everything is from NCERT. You can do a little extra just to gain exposure or to understand the lines of NCERT better. But you know what to study, and you know what timetable is going to suit you, you know your strategy, so you know everything. Just go with it with a very cool mind, calm mind, and you will be able to crack it. All the best.
And this brings us to the end of one more amazing episode in CTwT, where we heard this super amazing story. So many achievements. We'll try कि हम Olympiad and KVPY and JEE Advanced के भी in fact achievements पे separate videos आपके लिए लेकर के आएं. I really hope you loved this video and you got to know a lot of things and many of your doubts would have been clarified. If there is anything you want to recommend, any questions you want us to include, please drop in the comment section. Please like the video and share it with everyone so that this story reaches out to each and everyone out there. Do subscribe to CTwT for many more such amazing interviews. Let's crack it.